Piano prodigy Park Jong-hwa started playing piano at the age of 4. Since then, he's been active on his main stage, Europe, further receiving global recognition. Actually, your very first award.
Very, very special and good experience.
Back in 2016, pianist Park Jong-hwa caused a sensation by moving a piano to multiple locations. With his specially designed trailer, he carried a grand piano for unique street performance.
We witnessed a lot of heartwarming. It was very rewarding.
As a man who strives to pursue innovative ideas, he is currently doing a research focused on combining music and artificial intelligence. His future activities, as novel as they will be, are highly anticipated. On today's Heart to Heart, we delve into pianist and Professor Park Jong-hwa's stories of his boundless adventures. Wow. That was beautiful. It reminds me of that song, 동구밭 과수원길. Was it that tune? Yes. That was very refreshing. The sounds of the birds chirping along with the piano. A very unusual approach. So that was Music in Motion, a project that you've worked on. I'd like to begin by asking you, first of all, what led you to the idea to work on such a project, not in a concert hall, but actually in the middle of nature?
I remember when I was in college, I felt enormous joy when I invited friends who were not really into classical music, but they came to a concert of mine, and afterwards they were so elated that they would ask me, when is the next concert?
Oh, I see.
And one day I thought I would do a project like this. I was always imagining it. Yes.
I heard that there was a similar, not exactly, well, it wouldn't be similar, but another project. It's called Run Piano. So this is Music in Motion.
Yes.
And Run Piano was a project that you worked on previously before Music in Motion. So what was that project about as well?
We started Run Piano project around 5 years ago, I remember. There was a cultural project guy named Seokjun Jung. There was a project in England named Play Me I'm Yours. And idea was to collect unused pianos in the city. He was an artist, so he painted pianos himself.
So he would paint old pianos that he collected from people that no longer use the piano.
Exactly, in different shapes and forms. Yes. The idea was to give these pianos a second life.
Oh.
Yes. And then he would place it in the places. When I returned to Korea in 2007, I always had a vision that I wanted to do something like this. Somehow the idea got around, and I guess Jung Seok-jun, 대표님, he heard about this idea and asked if he could do it. And later I heard that this man started the project. And I went to see him and said, I also would like to join your project. Can we do it together? And he said yes, he approved, and we became a partner.
So taking us back to Music in Motion, I mean, obviously, as we've taken a look at the video, the very short clip, I'm sure you had to spend time selecting locations.
Yes.
Even transporting the piano.
Yes.
The whole planning process, I'm sure it took a whole lot of time. So could you tell us about how you actually put this project together in more detail?
It was difficult because we didn't have a lot of funding. It was mostly volunteer-based thing. After we placed the piano, we would actually watch across the streets or on the steps to watch what happens there in the bubble culture that we created. We witnessed a lot of very heartwarming and things, and it was very rewarding. It was hard, difficult work, but it was very rewarding experience for us as well. Yeah.
So, of course, you have this trailer that you can load the piano onto.
Yes.
And you travel to different locations. I mean, this type of attempt, I believe, was the very first in Korea.
Yes.
How was it received, especially by audiences that aren't exactly or aren't often exposed to such experiences, cultural experiences or musical experiences?
There was another reason that I decided to do this project. The method that the Western music came to this peninsula and how it was received was quite particular compared to neighboring countries, China and also Japan. Because of this particularity, I think we have more disparity in the experience in the population regarding who gets to experience this classical music.
Yes, it's like a privilege.
Yes,
say,
exactly.
For example.
And the quality of the music that a certain population experiences is also different. This is also limited by geographical factors. For example, if you're living in Jeju, you're not going to travel unless you are quite well off. You're not going to travel to Seoul to listen to nice concerts.
Right, yes.
Korea is very centralized in every way.
Yes.
Also with music and culture. Everything is in Seoul. The region is developing very quickly, but still there are pockets of countryside where it's very disadvantaged.
And you're filling in those pockets.
Exactly. That was our idea. And we did 4 concerts. One in Jeju. For the ladies, the Haenyeo.
Yes. Women divers.
Yes. The second was for foreign workers in the factories. The third was in Gyeongju, in Anapji. The fourth was at DMZ.
Oh, at the DMZ.
All these 4 concerts were memorable, I have to say. But the concerts at Jeju and the factories were very special, I have to say. 해녀님들,
Yes.
when I played several pieces that were composed on the theme of water.
I see.
When they've heard it, they said, wow, this is our first concert. And when they heard Liszt, they sort of felt that it had something to do with water. And then in return, they sang their 노동요. There was exchange of emotions,
an exchange and kind
experiences.
of a connection, like a connection that. I'd also like to ask about, the research. I mean, we're talking about projects that you've worked on and that you are still working on, and also about some other very unusual, very unique research projects that you're working on as well. So I understand that you're currently focusing on analyzing and researching and kind of blending music with other applications. So could you tell us about your research, the ones you're working on right now?
Yes. Do you know these pianos that you see in the Western movies with the paper roll in the middle with the holes in it, and then if you play it, it automatically plays the piano. And now Yamaha, Steinway, and all these piano makers also have their own automatic pianos. And what it does is that it records the movement of keys, hammers, and the pedals, so that if player plays on these and push record, and they will record all these movements, and they will play it back
so it memorizes
automatically.
it. It's very
It records it, yeah.
Uh-huh.
We take this piano, automatic piano, and we connect it to machine computer. And we are developing AI that can play these automatic pianos with emotions. This is the project that I'm involved in at the moment. Yes.
Interesting.
I am working with a professor from KAIST, and they are the one who's really developing the AI.
Oh, okay. I see.
And we are responsible for collecting the data and also consulting as field expert. Yes. It's very interesting because how do you bring automation to art? Because art is done by human, and
And people believe it should be done by humans.
Exactly, these areas of intuition and emotions and intentions and all these things are not yet reachable by machines. But sometimes people mistakenly think that one day computer will take our jobs away as an artist. But I don't think that's true. We are doing this so that we could be better creators, better performers, and we are doing these projects to make very good assistant for us so that we may be better artists.
Professor Park Jong-hwa's I Imagine project is based on the themes of AI and creativity. As an attempt for artistic enhancement through AI application, the project has received positive reviews. He pursues an innovative path that no one has ever pioneered, and we shall now unfold his notable past, which led him to where he is today.
Now I'd like to shift our focus,
Yes.
our attention to your past. A question you probably get all the time, but how old were you? I think it was roughly 3.5, 4 years old when you first started to play the piano, or was it to learn the piano? When was it?
Yes, that's about right. I was about 4. We had a piano at home because my mother was an amateur pianist. And I remember that was like a big toy that I could play with.
Wow. I'm sure many of our viewers are curious about the childhood stories that you might have to share as a musical child prodigy. So what are some maybe memorable stories, childhood stories that you remember?
Well, thank you for considering me as a prodigy. I don't think so myself. I just think that I had just very encouraging environment and just happened to meet certain people at a certain time, which was enormously lucky for me. One day, I played a tune that was playing on the radio, and after that, I think my lessons began.
Then your parents, they enrolled you into an advanced class, I believe. This was at a school in Tokyo.
Yes.
That's where you actually started getting musical training. So you spent several years in Japan, your elementary school years in Japan,
Yes.
and you also traveled to Europe, lived in many parts of the world. And it was when you were just 20 years old, quite young. When you were just 20, you won the Critics Award ever.
Yes.
Now, this was when you were 20. You won the Critics Award in the Queen Elizabeth International Piano Competition. Now, you did enter many competitions, many piano competitions prior to this, but it was your very first.
Yes.
Actually, your very first award. So it must be a very, very important moment for you, a moment that you remember for the rest of your life.
Yes, in fact, that was my first competition. And I went to Belgium to do this great, big competition. I would say it's a sort of marathon of competition because they have 5 stages. And for one of the last stages, you are put into chateau all the finalists are put into chateau without outside contact.
Oh, wow.
This was a very, very special and good experience. Yes.
You have received such wonderful musical guidance from wonderful teachers,
Yes.
great teachers. Cannot mention all of them, but if you can mention a few of them, that would be wonderful. And I'd like to ask about perhaps what significance their teachings have had on your musical and artistic life.
Well, I have to mention Professor Russell Sherman. He was there during the most formative years of my life, I would say. He had a very special approach to piano pedagogy. He is probably the last generation of this sort of Jewish education that stemmed from 19th century, long time ago. And I really appreciate his teachings, so that was very special. And the one thing I remember was that he told me, never trust anything.
Never trust anything?
Yes, and he said, when you read a book, do not trust words.
Just listening to you tell us about the professors you've had, I mean, it's amazing. You're so lucky to have, met these people and actually spent time with them, had you next to you. As I've mentioned briefly earlier, you spent your elementary school years in Japan.
Yes.
Starting at the age of 5. And then you grew up in the Western world, of course, traveling from one country to another. And this is where you actually built your musical career,
Yes.
Not in Korea, but in Europe mainly, right?
Yes.
But you returned to Korea in 2007.
Yes.
So let's get to that point. What brought you to Korea in 2007?
The Seoul National University was looking for a professor, so I decided to apply. And I didn't think I would get it, but for some luck, I received a call to come
Why
and
did
audition.
you not think you would get it?
Because I didn't
You just weren't
think
sure.
that I was up to
I see.
performing a piano and the teaching piano is, for me, I think, two distinctively separate activities and also requires different talents. And for this reason, I didn't think that they would, yes.
And you released in 2015 an album titled Nunaya,
Yes.
an album with arrangements of classical music and 동요,
Yes.
which is Korean like children's songs. You did mention briefly as we began our
Yes.
program today. So could you tell us about the music in this album, the arrangements, and how you put this album together? Perhaps why you thought of putting this album together even?
Yeah. There was many challenges ahead that I had to encounter. And of course, one of them is to getting used to the teaching. I was always interested in teaching, but when I started, of course, I was a beginner at this, and I had I was very enthusiastic, but that alone does not do the job. I realized it was a huge learning process, and I think I become a better artist and better person because of this teaching experience. But also another challenge is that was laying ahead was about my identity. Since I moved out from the country at the age of 6,
Yes.
and I was brought up and I lived abroad, it was, although I was Korean, I am Korean, it was completely a new world. Then, 동요, the Korean children's song, I heard the tune, and then I thought this was it, because since 2007, when I lived here, people would invite me to go to 노래방, karaoke,
Yeah.
and I couldn't sing a song. I didn't know any Korean songs.
But you sang 동요?
And when I heard 동요, I instantly recognized the melody.
The ones you listened to when you were a
Yes.
child.
So I said, this is it. Maybe I could work with these. And it was very interesting because 동요 has very strong ties historically with how Western music came into our peninsula. Yes. I was afraid, sort of, I had a fear of doing this project, but along the way, there was many encouragements and helps.
Yes.
And finally, we produced this CD.
Mm-hmm. You're keeping yourself very, very busy. You've met wonderful people in the past, and you still are meeting wonderful people. I'd like to ask about any closing thoughts that we could, maybe say goodbye as we wrap up the program. And I'd also like to finally ask about any future goals or plans, projects you want to work on in the near future.
Yes, I'm doing many things at the moment, but I think my passion is still in playing and also connecting with people, be it on the stage or be it at the school. I get questions about why are you researching about AI, why are you doing this and that. I have a vision to connect all of my activities in the future in one single creation and sort of do something satisfactory for my own standards. Or it's a difficult question.
But I definitely look forward to what you are planning, because I know we're going to have something splendid, wonderful, to please a whole wide range of audiences.
But I'm doing this because my teacher, Russell, was very against technology. And I think he's right in some sense, because classical music, it has a value to give to the world. And I think in traditional sense of this value is becoming more and more important, because as we, through the progress of technology, are drawn more into sort of a digital medium, and we are sort of separated. What classical music is offering to counterbalance all this is becoming more and more important. But at the same time, as a person who is in the education, our responsibility to arm the young people with traditions. But I think we are also responsible for arming them with what to come, what to expect, and the necessary skill set to handle or innovate themselves, and so that they could innovate the field that they're in. I always had sort of complex as a performer, because we are, as interpreter, we are always interpreting the pieces, compositions that were written for us for piano. But after several decades of doing this, I realized I have a desire to create something by myself as well. And I guess that desire also feeds into all these activities, the reason that I'm doing all these activities. Yes.
All sounds very interesting. I very much enjoyed our conversation today. Look forward to the convergence or the combination of classical music and AI.
Yes.
And I wish you the best in the future with all your plans and your future endeavors. Thank you very much for joining us today. 감사합니다.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.